Welcome to this riveting tale of Matteo Messina Denaro, the notorious Mafia boss of Italy, and his rise and fall. For decades, Denaro was a shadowy figure that law enforcement agencies around the world were desperate to capture. He was known for his ruthlessness, cunning, and love for gold. Who was Matteo Messina Denaro, and why was he so notorious? How did he amass so much power and wealth, and what role did gold play in his empire? What was his downfall, and how did law enforcement finally catch up with him? In this video, we'll take you on a journey through Denaro's life, exploring his early beginnings, his meteoric rise to power, his love for gold, and ultimately, his downfall. Join us as we uncover the fascinating story of Matteo Messina Denaro and the Maffia's gold. The early years. Matteo Messina Denaro was born on April 26, 1962, in Castelvetrano, a small town in the province of Trapani, on the west coast of Sicily. He was the fourth of 8 children born to Francesco Messina Denaro, a local Mafia member, and his wife Anna Maria. From a young age, Matteo was exposed to the world of organized crime, which had a significant influence on his upbringing. Growing up, Matteo was a quiet and reserved child, who was often lost in his own thoughts. He was deeply curious about the world around him, and he spent much of his time observing the people and places in his hometown. He was also very close to his family, especially his father, whom he idolized. Despite his father's involvement in the Mafia, Francesco Messina Denaro instilled in his son a strong sense of morality and respect for tradition. He taught Matteo the importance of family, honor, and loyalty, and he encouraged him to pursue an education and a career outside of organized crime. Matteo was an excellent student and excelled in his studies, especially in history and literature. However, Matteo's involvement in the Mafia's criminal activities began at a young age. He was recruited by his father and other members of the organization to assist with various illegal activities, such as extortion, drug trafficking, and money laundering. Matteo's intelligence and resourcefulness made him a valuable asset to the organization, and he quickly rose through the ranks. Despite his involvement in organized crime, Matteo never lost sight of his moral values. He remained deeply conflicted about his role in the Mafia, and he struggled to reconcile his loyalty to his family with his desire to live a life free from violence and corruption. As he grew older, Matteo's moral compass became increasingly strained, and he found himself at a crossroads, unsure of which path to take. In many ways, Matteo Messina Denaro's early years were defined by the tension between his family's involvement in the Mafia and his own desire to live a life guided by his moral values. His story serves as a cautionary tale about the seductive power of organized crime and the lasting impact it can have on individuals and communities. The power of gold. Matteo Messina Denaro's love for gold was one of the defining aspects of his life and career. He was known to have a vast collection of gold bars, which he often carried with him as a symbol of his wealth and power within the Mafia. But his obsession with gold went beyond mere materialism. Gold represented something deeper for Denaro, a way to exert control and influence over the world around him. For Denaro, gold was the ultimate form of power. It gave him the ability to buy anything he wanted, from luxury goods to loyalty from other Mafia members, and he was very good at acquiring it. Denaro's skill as a money launderer was unmatched, and he used this skill to amass vast sums of money for the Mafia. He laundered billions of dollars over the years, using a complex web of shell companies and offshore accounts to hide the true source of the funds. But Denaro's love for gold also had a darker side. He was ruthless in his pursuit of wealth, and he didn't hesitate to use violence to get what he wanted. He used his connections and influence to extort money from legitimate businesses, and he often used his reputation for violence to intimidate those who refused to pay. In this way, his love for gold became a weapon that he used to control and manipulate others. Despite his success as a money launderer, Denaro was not invincible. Italian authorities were constantly on his trail, and they were aware of his involvement in the Mafia's criminal activities. In 2002, they arrested several of Denaro's associates and seized over 30 million euros in assets, including luxury cars and a yacht. While Denaro himself was not captured, the seizure dealt a serious blow to his financial empire and showed that he was not immune to the reach of the law. In the end, Denaro's love for gold was both his greatest strength and his greatest weakness. It gave him the power and influence he craved, but it also blinded him to the true cost of his actions. His pursuit of wealth and power ultimately led to a life on the run, and his legacy serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of greed and corruption. The Reign of Terror. Matteo Messina Denaro's rise to power within the Mafia was marked by violence and brutality. He became known for his ruthless tactics and his willingness to use violence to achieve his goals. His targets included other Mafia members who posed a threat to his power, as well as innocent bystanders who got in his way. One of the most notorious incidents of Denaro's reign of terror was the 1992 bombing of the anti-Mafia judge Giovanni Falcone, which killed Falcone, his wife, and 3 police officers. The attack sent shockwaves through Italy and marked a turning point in the fight against the Mafia. But why did Denaro resort to such extreme violence? Some suggest that it was a way for him to assert his power and dominance within the Mafia, while others believe it was simply a means to an end, a way for him to eliminate his enemies and secure his position within the organization. Regardless of his motives, there is no denying the impact that Denaro's violence had on Italian society. Innocent people lost their lives, and the sense of fear and instability that he created was felt across the country. In his book, Gomorrah, journalist Roberto Saviano wrote, Matteo Messina Denaro had to be the most ferocious, the most bloodthirsty, the most ruthless of them all. He had to eliminate anyone who posed a threat to his power. His path to the top was paved with blood and death. But Denaro's reign of terror did not go unchallenged. There were many who stood up to him and fought against the Mafia's influence in Italy. One such person was Rosaria Schifani, the daughter of a Mafia boss who turned against the organization and became an anti-Mafia activist. In an interview with The Guardian, Schifani said, "I believe in the power of one person. If one person does something, others will follow. When I decided to break with the Mafia, I was alone. But then others joined me, and together we can make a difference." Schifani's words serve as a reminder that even in the face of violence and brutality, there is always hope for change. The fight against the Mafia is ongoing, and the legacy of Matteo Messina Denaro serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of corruption and the need for continued vigilance. Life on the run. After the bombing of Giovanni Falcone, Denaro became one of Italy's most wanted men. He went into hiding and has been on the run ever since. Despite numerous attempts by Italian authorities to capture him, Denaro has managed to evade capture for over 30 years. Denaro's life on the run has been the subject of much speculation, with many rumors circulating about his whereabouts and activities. Some have suggested that he is living in South America, while others believe that he is still hiding out in Italy. Regardless of his location, Denaro's influence within the Mafia remains strong, and he is believed to still be involved in the organization's criminal activities. Some experts suggest that his success is due to a combination of factors, including his strong network of loyal supporters, his knowledge of the terrain and the people in the area, and his ability to adapt to changing circumstances. Despite the efforts of law enforcement, Denaro remains at large, and his whereabouts remain a mystery. The search for him continues, but it is unclear when or even if he will ever be brought to justice. The story of Matteo Messina Denaro is a cautionary tale about the destructive power of greed and corruption. Denaro's involvement in the Mafia's criminal activities led him down a path of violence and brutality, leaving a trail of death and destruction in its wake. His ability to evade capture for so long has earned him a reputation as one of the most elusive and cunning criminals in history. As we reflect on Denaro's story, it is important to remember that the fight against organized crime is an ongoing battle. It requires the cooperation and dedication of law enforcement officials and the public alike to bring those responsible to justice. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like and subscribe for more content on true crime and criminal justice. Who knows, maybe one day we'll have an update on the elusive Matteo Messina Denaro.